Hello? Hello? Oh, it's Preservation Thursday. Preservation Thursday. How we doing today, folks? Ladies and gentlemen, it's gorgeous out already. Got some crazy stuff going on today. Today's podcast brought to you by some very good people. Danielle and Kayla over at Best Bid Solutions. They have a 2 to 7 day turnaround on their bids. Quality work. 405-695-4426. Danielle and Kayla, they'll get you squared away. They can help you with your bids. I know Safeguard is, they're good on the Safeguard stuff. I know that. And that is a difficult company to work with. If you're green, that's not a company to get in bed with because they'll beat you to tears. Again, Best Bid Solutions, 405-695-4426. They'll get you taken care of. Preservation Thursday today on the agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about subbing to a sub. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Purdy Enterprises still discriminating, and of course labor. Now you can help send a message by telling Purdy Enterprises no. No, you don't get to pick and choose who people are affiliated with. That's discrimination. They can't do it. It's a HUD contract. Push back on this Purdy Enterprises and Lila and her husband. I forget his name, but Tom, I think it is. I don't know, but they can't do that. They can't discriminate against somebody, especially when somebody's putting facts out about them. And they especially can't discriminate on a government contract. That's what HUD is. It's a government contract. Speaking of contracts, ladies and gentlemen, what is the number one thing when we go into business? What is the number one thing they tell you? They always tell you, seek financing. When you're doing a business plan, they always tell you, see if family and friends can help you with financing. Kind of an oxymoron thing because they always say, never go into business with friends. I've lost a good one, but never go into business with friends. That's what they say. The biggest reason they say this is because usually when friends are involved, contracts get ignored. Case in point, me. Because of the relationship that was going on, I never put anything into writing as far as a contract. So, and of course, some of you know about protection mode. I'm already in it. Of course, I have to protect myself now that things have gone belly up. And after 16 months of work in tireless interviews and finding out what, your client likes and, their needs, their wants, and being able to separate, the two of them and create something out of the conversations that you've had with your client, that's what a lot of businesses do, especially in the consultation world or when you're designing, developing anything. Of course, sustainable agriculture is a development process. It's not something you just come in and do overnight and walk away from. There's a lot that goes on when you deal with sustainable agriculture. You have to study your soil. You have to understand the weather conditions. Charts don't really help. You kind of have to experience them a little bit. The information, make no mistake, the charts, that information is invaluable. Don't disregard the information, but charts are not hands-on experience. Hands-on experience is something you just can't replace. Now, after numerous trips, I started no contract. So how do you protect yourself without a contract? Interesting question. It's called documentation. What are the forms of documentation? In today's electronic age, there are numerous forms of documentation. Video. I'm talking to you right now. Podcasts. I have several of those out. Radio. radio. Every now and then you can, I call KOZZ. Hey, where you calling from? And I'll kind of sneak a little plug in and get something going on. Or you talk to somebody, be a guest on a show, whether it be TV, radio, whatever. Start marketing and get your word out. Emails, blogs, and of course, consultants. Now, in this particular case, my gut feeling is there is not going to be a negotiated settlement. It's going to come through the courts, because I can tell right now, when I laid out what I'm going to need to in the exit strategy, it was met with a lot of resistance. And I would always say, beware of this phrase. I'm trying to be your friend. Nobody says that that's your friend. Nobody tries to be your friend. Your friends will stick up for you. Your friends will have your back. Your friends will not leave you hanging in the wind. And your friends will not lie to you about other people. They will not lie to you about what you're doing. They will not ignore. When this owner, the actual property owner, they would tell you the truth in the beginning. When you submit a proposal, especially on a business level, they would be saying, hey, you know what, we don't own the property. This isn't our decision to make. That would be the proper thing to do. Not, oh, I can't sell that. I don't want to make any changes. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Well, then why did you tell me you wanted all this? Why did we have all these conversations for a year before we started implementing stuff? I came and talked to these people twice before I actually started coming here. I talked to the guy's wife 3 or 4 times separate. I talked to him 3 or 4 times separate. I talked to them together so I could get an idea where their heads were, where everything was going to go on this project and how it was going to work. I had no idea that I was pitching the wrong people, if you will. I was making presentations to the wrong people. They don't own the property. After 16 months, the owner of the property says, you got to go. I don't like the work you've done. What the owner of the property, I guess, at that time he said that, wasn't aware of, because I think there's some backdoor funny stuff going on here. But I don't think the doctor, this cancer doctor they have out here that has some human growth hormone thing in his background. I don't know. Maybe he was involved with the baseball people back in the 90s. I don't know. But he lost his appeals on that case, so he was found guilty. But he owns a property, and he doesn't like any of the work, and all of a sudden I have to go. You guys have seen the arrangement here. I got a 30-foot travel trailer. You just don't pull a travel trailer on somebody's property with a complete glass and wood shop like I have a mobile shop. You don't pull that on somebody's property and squat or be a home. I mean, how do you call somebody a homeless person when they have $30,000 worth of tools that they're working with? How is that a squatter situation? How is that you just showed up and did whatever you wanted to do on my property situation? I don't know, but that's the way it has come across, at least to me at this time. So always remember, ladies and gentlemen, a contract is a agreement between parties. There's a mutuality of agreement, and that's very, very, very critical. Mutuality of agreement. That means you and them agree. And I'm sorry, but contracts I've been reviewing lately, and we're going to get to one in a minute. Robin, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they have a company, We Go Look, the Lookers. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But it's critical right now in the property preservation industry, in anything to do in the mortgage field service industry, that number one, there's a couple ways that labor can come together and do things. But number one, if you're uncertain of a contract, have somebody else look at it. Have a third party give you an opinion. Don't, hey, I'm not a lawyer. I understand the legalese. I understand how that is all comes about. And when I see a lot of legalese in a contract, legalese is verbiage. And you'll see it sometimes. Good attorneys don't use a lot of verbiage. They're direct and to the point. When you start seeing a lot of legalese verbiage in a contract, That's a huge, huge red flag, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to sound smart. They're trying to sound smarter than you. That's what legalese verbiage in a contract is. They're trying to sound smart. And if you read it and step back for a second, you'll see how stupid they really are. Fraud. I think that's what Purdy's doing with the discrimination, but up to the minute fraud reporting, ladies and gentlemen, foreclosurepedia.org. Foreclosurepedia.org, Cityside beat up for $4.3 million. They were frauding people. They were defrauding people. I got to pull something up here so we can get into this sub of a 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 sub via NAMFS members. Yeah. Let's see here. I haven't had a chance. Somebody sent me the Uber driver contract. I'm going to have to push that into next week. I have not had time to read it. It is very extensive. It is unbelievably long, which means there's a lot of legalese in there. Remember, Uber getting beat up by the courts on the employee misclassification. So, we have chaos in the kingdom. Chaos in the kingdom. And I'm going to come right out right now, and I am going to call out Ryan Etzel. Ryan Etzel. I'm going to read a comment he made. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Nope, I don't want that one. Let me go to this one here. And I love this screen name for somebody. Mist Ica. M-Y-S-T, separate word, I-C-A. She's in Hlauska, Puerto Vallarta, subbing work into the United States. Think about that for just a minute. I guarantee you, Mist Ica is not properly licensed or in compliance with local state laws. Now, some of you may have seen and let me see, Paul Jackson made a goofy thing. He's actually a medical doctor, and I call poppycock because if you were a doctor with a PhD, Paul Jackson, you would not be involved in property preservation, number one. Number two, you wasn't talking right the way you do. Maybe he was jiving with people. I don't have the whole text, but I just saw that. I guess Ryan Etzel is, there's a money thing going on here. This is what Ryan Etzel said about subbing to a sub and subbing the work out after it's been subbed to you. I disagree. If I hire someone to mow a lawn for any dollar amount and lay out the expectations clearly, it's none of their business what I get paid. That's true. I'm headed to bed, blah, 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 blah. However, here's the issue in the property preservation, ladies and gentlemen. The issue in property preservation is work gets subbed out 4, 5, 6 times. This particular conversation was sub of a sub subbing. That's 3 subs. That's 3 times the work's been subbed. So, let me see here. Myself, I think everybody knows my position on all this subbing. I think it's poppycock, and I think it's nonsense. The work needs to come directly to labor. It needs to bypass all these NAMFS members. I'm sorry, but if you're getting work and turning around and subbing it out and you're not first in line on that sub out, if you're not Safeguard, if you're not a national, if you're not number one with the contract with Fannie Mae, that work isn't meant to be subbed that many times. You're a leech, You're a lazy little no good SOB, and all you're trying to do is look for an easy way out. You're looking for an easy buck. You probably had somebody do your homework and you cheated in high school. You looked at the girl next to you at her desk and you copied her work. That's what you did. Speaking of work, women at work, Richmond, Virginia area, ladies and gentlemen. Richmond, Virginia area, that cutie pie, Kim Savage, women at work. She can get you taken care of. Yes, she can. She can do property preservation. You know, I'm having a problem pulling stuff up this morning here. I don't know what. I saw Matt Steffen was in this conversation. He put some good stuff in there. But I was also sent a pricing sheet, Solid Foundation Properties down in Louisiana. I was sent their pricing. Their pricing is a little low, number one. But a couple years back, I actually wrote an article about them. Links in the description, ladies and gentlemen. Check the links. But we wrote on them, and they didn't have a contract at the time. Now, I don't know if they have a contract now. This was back in 2015 I wrote on them. We asked for a contract to review their contract. Oh, we don't have a contract. You just do what we tell you. That's an employee scenario. An employee scenario. Now, this is what Ryan Etzel says, and this is the statement I have a serious issue with. In reality, it's nobody's business how many hands it goes through. Poppycock. It's my business. And ladies and gentlemen, this guy right here is the reason you lien a property. He don't pay you. If this Ryan, and I'm just kind of reading between the lines, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, Ryan, but it sounds like you owe people money. There was a statement in there, it's time for you to pay up. I'm not sure what's going on, how this conversation got started, but it's about what the job pays. I don't care about anybody's business model. They can do whatever they want. They can, do all whatever they want. What I do care about is when labor gets cheated and somebody like this comes up and says it's none of your business. That is troubling, and that is why you lien a property, ladies and gentlemen. These properties don't belong to bozos like Ryan Etzel, who wants to tell you, just go do the work and shut your mouth. You're his employee. If you're working for this guy, you're his employee. So when he cuts your workload off, file unemployment on him. That's what you do. Go file unemployment on these people. Get the contracts in front of the unemployment division. It's very simple. Very, very simple. That statement right there, it's really nobody's business how many hands it goes through is why you file a lien. The properties do not belong to them. They're getting paid, you're not. They're getting paid, and you're not. File a lien, because then the bank is going to push them out of the way. It's that simple. They'll get kicked out of the way, not you. You'll get your money. Very simple. If you got questions on that, Scott Wolf over at zlean.com, zlean.com. He will get you taken care of. Let's talk about the Looker Agreement. Looker Agreement. I love this when it came in. This is kind of funny. Are you a looker? Let me see. Here's one for you. Looker Agreement. Here's the thing, and I sent this gal. This is a young lady, Robin Smith. She came up with she's in the mortgage service industry but her and her husband came up with a inspection method and a really decent program. They got a decent, respectable business. They're not being, they're not cheating people or anything like that. That's not why we're here. But people asked me to review the contract, and considering in light of Bowerman versus FAS result, in light of what's going on in the AMS showdown, in light of what happened with Butzek, a company that defrauded over $1 million and is a new member of NEMFS. New member of any. Hey, Brett, how are you, man? But Robin Smith, We Go Look, that's the company they founded. I was asked to look at their contract. People had a couple questions about it, and I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I cannot endorse your contract as an independent contractor contract for the following reasons. You describe methods of doing things and methods of performance. You discuss assignments and how they can be taken from you. The brand is not my brand. If I'm an independent contractor, I put my name on everything, not We Go Look. That's one thing. ID, Looker ID. You have to wear an ID. There's a dress code. There's an extensive dress code, by the way. It stipulates that you represent We Go Look. It describes ethics. It describes duties to be performed. And there's a background check. And oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's tip our hat to Robin. The background check is only $15. Think about that. $15 for a background check while you're spending $65, $120, whatever it is, sending your money to a country overseas. I tip my hat to Rob and Mr. and Mrs. Smith there. They got it going on. $15 background check. That was cheaper than the ones I was paying $20 for them, for my employees. But combining everything, when you combine the totality of this contract and the totality of control, which is what the IRS looks for, which is what unemployment people look for, which is what the courts look for, this contract that I have read, this agreement, this looker agreement, because you agree to wear their lanyards, their identification things, you agree to be called a looker. That's it's nothing but a glorified employment contract. And you are actually an employee. I don't care if they're in Illinois and you're in Florida. You are an employee if you get into bed with this contract. This is a dicey situation. And this is where I have a little compassion for new companies coming in, because I'm not sure how much business savvy Mr. and Mrs. Smith have, Robin and her husband have, but they've developed a very respectable company and they provide a very good service. But somebody needs to sit them down and rewrite their contract so it is truly an independent contractor contract, or go the employee route, go the W-2 route, go set up regional offices somewhere and do it that way. It's a very tough dichotomy on this contract. And here is how, if you want to know about your contracts, the contracts that you have with a national or another company, Ryan Etzel, for example, I'm not sure what the thing is. I'm just kind of reading between the lines, like I said there. But if you have questions about your contracts, take it down to your local unemployment office. Everything comes to you via email. Pull their name out and put your name in it. Take it down there and say, hey, I want to hire independent contractors. Will this pass muster? If it passes on the state level, chances are it's going to pass on the federal level. The reason I say that is because your state level is where unemployment insurance gets paid. And they want their money. On a federal level, if you're a federal employee, unemployment gets paid. They want their money. The reason this is so important, ladies and gentlemen, you, the employee, never pay into unemployment. That's an employer. That's part of payroll taxes, is to pay into unemployment. When you're not, and remember, I have been saying this since I started talking, started getting involved in the industry, and started advocating. I have always said, pay yourself at the end of the week. Write yourself a check so you understand payroll taxes. You have 4 or 5 different taxes that come out of your check every week in a job. One is federal income tax. If your state has a state income tax, you pay a state income tax. Social Security, Medicaid, and there might be something else there. I'm not sure. But those 4 are the key ones. The employer also pays workman's compensation and unemployment taxes. So a $10 an hour employee literally costs an employer $12.50 to $12.75 per hour. That's something you need to keep in mind. You truly have no idea. If you're not paying yourself at the end of the week, you have no idea how much services cost you. And I'll give you an example. A while back, I did a consultation with a guy that was doing the $3 inspections. And he told me, he goes, I got to tell you, man. He goes, I do $1,500 a month. They add up. I said, yeah, they'll add up. He goes, I want you to think about something for a minute. I go, do you know how much each inspection costs you to get done? And he goes, what do you mean? So I showed him break-even analysis. I showed him break-even point and how he can calculate things. And the next day he calls me up and he goes, holy crap. He goes, you're right. I'm working for $1.47 an hour. $1.47 an hour. They recruit a specific way in the property preservation industry so they can get away with this. So they can get away with cheating you. And you need to think about this for a minute. You pay into Social Security, employer matches that. All the taxes that are taken out of your check, the employer matches. If you send $5 to the feds, he or she sends $5 to the feds. $22 go to Social Security, employer, $22 to Social Security. The only thing you don't pay is the workman's comp and unemployment taxes. Those are on top of all the other taxes that an employer pays. So payroll taxes become very big. And one of the issues, and this question came across my desk, since I'm dealing with 501Cs, somebody called and said, hey, do charitable organizations have to pay payroll taxes? That's the question of the week from Tim out of Colville, California. That's where that question came from. Tim out of Colville, California asked this week, do charitable organizations have to pay payroll taxes? Yes, they do. If you're on payroll, it doesn't matter if you're working for the Salvation Army, if you're working for the Diabetic Society, the Cancer Foundation, if you are on that organization's payroll, and a lot of them organizations have paid positions, but if you're on an organization's payroll, they are liable for payroll taxes. Tim, thanks for the question. I certainly appreciate it. Hey, like I said, I don't know much. This Looker agreement, I can't endorse the contract as an independent contractor contract. Blah, 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 blah. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You think I drank too much coffee this morning or something, huh? Yeah, too much coffee. But, and I'm not saying, and please don't make the mistake of thinking that I'm saying anything bad about Mr. and Mrs. Smith and their company. I'm not. On the surface, it looks like a very solid company. It looks like a very great, innovative idea that they came up with. Their contract just truly is not an independent contract, and I sincerely hope that they can take a look at this and maybe remedy that before something happens to them, because it's a new upcoming company and it just might be the ticket for inspections in the mortgage field service industry. And Robin, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if you're listening, do yourself a favor. Do not join NAMFS. Don't join that organization. It's not... you try to be diplomatic. That's all you can do, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you can do. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the station. If you can donate, hit the website for us. We can definitely use them right now. looking for a new sustainable agriculture program. Going to have some more videos coming out here, kind of a video resume, perhaps, maybe. I don't know how to do it, but we'll get that figured out here. I might have to call on my buddy, that lunatic in the mountain, for a little technical IT support there, see how we do all that kind of stuff. Again, can't endorse the Looker contract, or the Looker agreement, as they've called it. Ryan Etzel claims it's not important, that it's nobody's business how many hands the work goes through that he's handing off to somebody. Maybe he's got a point there, but it's exactly that train of thought. You should be filing liens if you're not getting paid. If you're not being paid, file a lien, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not being paid, file a lien. And contracts with a friend. If you have a contract, you're kind of both locked in, hey, and maybe that's a good thing. No contract, look at the position I put myself in. No contracts. I'm a little bummed at myself. I'm a little, I'll get over it. We'll make it work. But by not having a contract, fortunately for myself, like I said, I've documented with video, podcast, radio broadcasts, been guests on shows to discuss what I was doing. I have emails that show what I was doing. I have the blog, of course. The blog. This whole process started January 4th. Go look at the blog, ladies and gentlemen. January 4th, 2016. Pull that up on the blog. It's going to talk to you about coming to Wynema Ranch and establishing sustainable agriculture programs. That's when it started. So always protect yourself. Fraud, up-to-the-minute fraud, foreclosurepedia.org if you're in the Richmond, Virginia area. Of course, women at work. That cutie pie Kim Savage, she owes me a dance. Let her know she got to get that poodle skirt on, come out here and dance. The prom's coming up, hot August night next week, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be a blast. Maybe me and Wilson go run around. And last time I took Wilson down to hot August night, man, them girls, they were like sticking him in the cleavage and dancing with them and stuff. It was a crazy time all the town, boy. I'll tell you. 804-539-4333. Women at work in the Richmond, Virginia area, ladies and gentlemen. Property preservation, property maintenance need. Kim Savage, that little cutie pie, get you squared away. Best Bid Solutions, Danielle and Kayla. They do good work. They get a 2 to 7 day turnaround. Hey, pretty good on bids. That's pretty good on bids. That means they got their stuff together. Now, here's my thing. Let me go back to Ryan Etzel for just a minute so we're clear. If I'm your employee, it's none of my business how many hands the work goes through. You're calling me an independent contractor? It is my business what's going on behind you, so I know I'm getting paid. So I know I don't have to go file an intent to lien. So I know I don't have to have somebody like Scott Wolf and Zeeling on retainer because you may not pay me today. If I'm your employee, what Ryan is saying, in essence, you're my employee. You're doing work for me. Shut your mouth and go to work. That's what Ryan is kind of saying there. And if you're an employee, you're an employee. But if you're an independent contractor, there's all kinds of stuff that is your business because of that relationship. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is why file a lien. Don't play the game with Ryan. Don't play the game with these people in the middle. File the lien. Let the bank deal with them and push them out of the way, because that's how it'll work, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you like what you hear, thumbs up, subscribe to the station. If you can donate, give us a donation. It's all great. Going to be at Doyle, the Lizard Races, on the 5th. If you're in the area, Northern California, Reno area, stop by, say hello. Let's have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all be safe out there.